which empowers the National Assembly to approve any expenditure from the consolidated revenue account of any kind. And Section 88, which empowers the National Assembly to investigate. So here, the judge and the judge. So IGP, Honorable Minister, and IGP are welcome. Before we proceed, I will invite distinguished senators and honorable members to introduce themselves. And then invite the minister and the IGP to introduce themselves. So,
Gyadi Katukan Sokoto, and by the grace of God, I'm the Minister of Police Affairs. Thank you. I was thinking that the chairman of this joint session has listened to the prayers from the various senators in the House of Reps who have asked for us to just take a bow and go. But like somebody said, for purposes of interaction, I think it will be a good idea if we come even for some few minutes to present to you our 2020 budget for the record purposes. Like you are aware, the Ministry of Police Affairs was re-established by Mr. President and the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Muhammadu Buhari, in order to oversee the development and the implementation of strategies to enhance internal security in the country, and the ministry is saddled with the responsibility of formulating policies, implementing and monitoring the efficient operations of the Nigerian police force. The mandate of the ministry is to administer the Nigeria police force in such a manner that it operates at the highest level of professionalism, dedication, and discipline to ensure public safety and the internal security of this country. Our vision is to provide political will and administrative support for the Nigeria Police Force to operate as an efficient, well-equipped, and community-based and people-friendly police. Mr. Chairman, sir, distinguished honorable members of this joint sitting, the scope of this presentation will cover the following points. Number one, the 2019 budget performance of the Nigeria Police Force. That is an overview of the 2019 Nigerian Police Force overview. Number two, the budget performance of the Police Academy Wudil, Kano. Number three will be a general review of the 2020 budget. Number four, outstanding liabilities under the police reform program. Like it has been highlighted, the main ministry has no 2019 budget that we can call our own, so I will limit our 2019 review to the police force and the Police Academy Wudil. I have also decided to allow the IGP to give a review of the 2019 budget, while I will just say a little on the review for 2019 in respect of Wudil. I do hope that they will be given the opportunity to also highlight on the performance of the 2019 and the other things that this honorable sitting may require as we go along. So the performance of the 2019 budget, as you are aware, and I believe you have all the records, we have capital provision of 773,956,190 naira, out of which 309,582,476 was released. In other words, we had a release, 39.9% release. I'm talking about the performance for the Wudil Police Academy. While the overhead for Wudil is 1,337,957,949 naira, whereas the release has been 703,190,812 naira, which amounts to about 52.57% performance. The personnel cost is 1,090,003,186 naira. The release comes up to 870,053,915 naira, giving a performance of 79.8%. The capital budget for Police Academy Wudil in 2019 was 773,956,000 and 9,582,476 naira only. Was released recently, and to be precise on 22nd of this month, and that is to say the amount has not been spent, but efforts would be made to make use of the funds released between now to the end of the year. Focus of the 2020 budget. Like I said, the budget review for the police force will be done very shortly by the IGP. The 2020 budget of the ministry is principally focused on the following areas. That is to say, completion of ongoing projects in line with the overall policy thrust of this administration. It is also to complement the funding of operations of the Nigerian police force to facilitate a more efficient and effective service delivery. Optimization of resource utilization to achieve higher service delivery. Training in areas of emerging security challenges, particularly terrorism, kidnapping, banditry, and other crimes. Now, stating the need to develop the capacity of the Nigerian police force to respond appropriately. Getting adequate value for money for all the projects undertaken by the ministry and its agencies. Acquisition and maintenance of equipment, vehicles, boats, and aircrafts. Boosting the morale of rank and file of Nigerian police force through welfare programs and incentives to enhance professionalism. General overview of the 2020 budget. The 2020 budget of the main ministry that Police Academy will deal and the police formation and commands amount to a total of 409,142,271,823. 23 naira only, summarized as follows. The main ministry has personnel cost 2,054,958,308 naira, while their overhead is 500 million. Total recurrent will be 2,554,958,308 naira. Capital will be 500 million with a total allocation of 3,554,958,308 naira. That is for the main ministry. For the police formations and the command, 300 and that is personnel, 381 billion 709,636,737 naira. Overhead for police formations and the command is coming up to 9,250,565,304 naira. Total recurrent is coming up to 390,960,202,041 naira. Capital for police force, that is to say police formations and command, is totaling to 12,359,258,151 naira, having a total allocation of 403,319,460,192 naira, giving us a grand total of total allocation of 409,142,272 naira 823 naira. Of this amount, okay, yes. Mr. Chairman, no, I'm coming to my prayers. I've already finished the summary. The only thing that I think you should know is the total liabilities that are outstanding for the ministry and its agencies is coming up to about 46,137,530,001 kobo. These are the total for all. Yes. So coming to my prayer, Mr. Chairman, Senate Committee, Honorable Chairman, House Committee, distinguished senators, honorable members of the National Assembly, from what I have given so far presented, from what I have so far presented, you can see that the entire capital budget of the Ministry of Police Affairs and its agencies totals up to just 13.3 billion naira. When you compare this against the actual needs of the ministry and its agencies, against in consideration of the infrastructural decay and the poor working equipment in the entire organization, it will be seen that this provision is no doubt very inadequate. Let me at this point thank the National Assembly and in particular the esteemed members of our two committees for their tremendous efforts in passing the Police Trust Fund Bill, which Mr. President has graciously signed into law. By the time the Trust Fund takes off next year, we shall be able to address some of our major needs, such as development of security infrastructure, police training needs, and other activities of the police force. It is to be noted, however, that it is not all aspects of our needs that the trust fund will be able to address and take care of. There is therefore the need for the distinguished and honorable members of our two committees to consider finding possible ways of allocating more funds to the Police Affairs Ministry and its agencies for the completion, particularly for the completion of our ongoing projects and for the settlement of liabilities that have accrued from some of these ongoing projects, as well as the new initiatives that will have direct bearing on the welfare of the police in this country. Honorable members will note that we have total liabilities of over 46 billion naira that has come up on the settlement of this outstanding or ongoing projects. We have not been able to include many of our ongoing projects in the 2020 budget. This is because of the envelope nature of the budget. This problem cuts across the ministry and all its agencies, and we think it is appropriate we draw your attention to some of these things for possible intervention to ensure that we take care of some of these ongoing projects to their necessary conclusion. In conclusion, Mr. Chairman, the budget of the Ministry of Police Affairs, as earlier stated, is focused on completion of ongoing projects in line with the overall policy of this administration. We are very happy to note the cooperation, the level of understanding, the level of cooperation of the joint committee of this National Assembly, particularly towards supporting the police in combating the various problems of the police, particularly security issues that is bedeviling in this country. And we have no doubt in our mind that you will go to whatever length it takes to ensure that we work together towards ensuring that we check the level of insecurity that is currently going on in this country. I thank you most sincerely, and we look forward to getting a more robust understanding, more robust relationship, and I want to assure you that we are all out to work together as a team towards ensuring that we make this country a safer and a more secured country. I thank you, and God bless you all. Thank you, and wassalamu alaikum.
Start the process before but for us, do justice to this sitting and going forward, the chief law officer and the chief operational officer of the land need to give us a no doubt of what it takes to man the Nigerian police. Before you do that, IGP, let me make it this way. All of us know fully, if you get your police correct, that means you are home and dry, you have a peaceful society. Any society, any country in the world that did not get their police correct, they must continue to have problems. So we will partner and we will all be on board as true citizens of this country to make sure that we do things correctly. But this document you are presenting today, all of you, they are mere proposals. They cannot forward. It is what we are giving back to you. That is the deal. And it is the deal that the law recognizes, not the figures you come up with. So, we will advise from the onset that give us your priorities for what would help the institution to function. So, if there are some steps that you know you don't need, but they are only captured because of the conventional way of doing templates or budgetary process of the country, please let's agree to give you the best and we place resources where you need them for the effective running of the sector. On this note, we will now allow the chief operational officer of the land to take over, give us the technical needs, professional needs, your shortcomings, what you need from our part. We will do only just, and we will even go ahead, we will lobby on your behalf because what we need to return is service and service delivery. Thank you very much.
Honorable members of the Committee on Police Affairs here present and to defend the 2020 budget proposal of the Nigeria Police Force, and also to brief you on the performance and challenges experienced within the implementation of the 2019 budget appropriation. As you are aware of the police mandate, the Nigeria Police has the constitutional role of prevention and detection of crime, apprehension of offenders, preservation of law and order, protection of lives and property, enforcement of all laws and regulations within which they are charged, military duties within or without Nigeria as may be required of them by the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. As you can see, we are there in the Middle East, in the Northeast, fighting side by side with the military against the insurgency. The Nigeria Police Force is a pivotal organ of government and the lead agency in internal security with a strength of 294,751 personnel. The recruitment of additional 10,000 new personnel is currently ongoing. This is expected to show up the manpower strength to 304,751 at the end of their training exercise. The force is spread across the Federation and consists of the following structures. We have the force headquarters, the 12 zonal commands, the 37 state commands including FCT, the 232 area commands, 1,426 divisions, 1,859 police stations, and 3,846 police posts. These strengths, with your permission, Chair, these strengths and spread are not static, but continue to grow side by side with overall national growth and development. Unfortunately, this growth and development have over the years not received commensurate funding. Security challenges, especially kidnapping, banditry, murder, robbery, rape, violent crimes against women, cyber crime, and other organized crimes, which I made on assumption of office, were instantly tackled collectively to a stable state. However, with my three-pronged policy thrust of intelligence-led policing, information communication technology-driven, and people-oriented policing, which embedded community policing, the force shall drive the crime level to a state of hope and restore a sense of safety to everybody in Nigerian state. The current police management is determined to provide the highest possible level of professional and responsible leadership for the Nigerian police force to enhance its efficiency and effectiveness. These efforts, though paying off in terms of the obvious decline in criminal activities nationwide, could have achieved more quicker successes, but for the issue of inadequate funding. Meanwhile, it is my singular honor and privilege to, on behalf of the Nigeria Police, appreciate the wonderful work of this committee in the realization of the Police Trust Fund Act. The Nigeria Police Force and indeed Nigerians appreciate this noble act of the National Assembly. However, with all due respect, as Oliver Twist, more is needed to be done. The immediate challenges of the Police Reform Bill, Police Academic Kano Bill, Police Staff College Just Bill, the Police College Ikeja, Kaduna, Meduguri, and Oju River bills are seeking our urgent collaboration to ensure that they are passed by Acts of Parliament. These bills are so fundamental in rejigging training and retraining of the manpower needs of the force. I plead for your kind and unfettered support in actualizing this institutional noble objective. The police depends on the government for funds for its day-to-day operations. However, the annual budgetary allocation to the force, especially with regards to capital and overhead cost expenditures, do not reflect the enormous size, scope, responsibility, and actual needs of the force. Arising from these limitations occasioned by budgetary revenue constraints, some of the requirements that will enable the force to perform optimally are not provided. For instance, as against the capital budget estimate of 63.9 billion proposed by the Nigeria Police for the 2020 fiscal year, the force was given an envelope of 12.3 billion. When we take the analysis of the overhead and capital expenditure, capital budget from 2015 to 2019, we will see that the appropriation in respect of the overhead costs and capital budget to the Nigeria Police Force over the years have failed to meet its basic funding requirements. The capital and overhead cost appropriations and releases for the past 5 years are as shown on the table below. If you look at 2015, there was an amount of 1.05 billion yet to be released out of what was allocated. In 2016, 2.8 was not released out of what was allocated. In 2017, 5.6 billion was not released. In 2018, 1.3 billion was not released. And when you come to 2019, we are yet to receive a dime. Overhead. We are still expecting. We have not received anything.
Go ahead.
Capital budget analysis. From 2015, out of what was allocated, 8.9 billion has not been released. In 2016, 12.08 billion was not released. 2017, 11.099 was not released. 2018, 13.186 billion was not released. In 2019, 2 days ago, 6.3 billion was released. From the above table, it can be seen that funds released to the force have generally been on the decline despite the rising security challenges we face. It will also be observed that releases are less than appropriation, and where a succeeding year's appropriation is higher, actual release falls below expectation. Now, if you look at the 2019 budget performance, the 2019 appropriation, releases, and utilization. The summary of the 2019 appropriation for the Nigeria Police Force totaling about 370 billion 979,840,624 is as follows. The capital expenditure is about 22.06 billion. Overhead costs is about 9.2 billion, and personnel costs is about 339.6 billion, totaling about 370.9 billion. The summary of 2019 appropriation releases. The capital expenditure, what was appropriated is 22.06. Amount released is 6.3, which represents 28.6%. And this amount was just released on 22nd of this month. On the overhead cost, 71% of the appropriation was released. We have 2.7 billion awaiting released. On personnel cost, 399.6 was appropriated. Amount released, I'm saying 0. Appropriation released, 0. So we are yet to receive.
Personnel is 100%.
100% in terms of.
Actually, I think since we have this document with us, and we will do a lot on oversight. I think just start from the document, now take the time and get to the oversight.
Okay.
Budget.
So let me go to 2020 budget.
Yes.
Budget estimate. The 2020 budget estimate for the force sum up to 403.3 billion. And the summary is as shown on the table below. Capital expenditure. Proposed appropriation is 12.3 billion, and the details are attached in pages 31 to 36. Overhead cost is 9.25 billion, and personnel cost is 381.7 billion. The sum total is about 403.3 billion. Arising from the fund constraint, the capital and overhead cost estimate for 2020 are limited to the envelope ceiling, and they do not reflect the actual needs of the force. For example, the capital budget proposed by the force amounted to 63 billion. However, the envelope is limited to 12.3 billion. On the analysis of 2020 budget estimate, overhead cost allocations. The overhead cost allocation is meant to fund the day-to-day administrative and operational activities of the Nigeria Police Force. Some of the subheads covered by the overhead cost allocations include local travels and transport, maintenance of vehicles, aircraft, marine patrol boats, local and international training, fuel costs, maintenance of buildings, that is office and barracks nationwide, feeding of detainees, provision of uniform and accoutrement. To expatiate on the dilemma of the force as far as overhead allocation is concerned, a few examples below will suffice. As at date, the force has a fleet of 12,713 vehicles, including 1,420 motorcycles nationwide. The cost implication are as follows. The estimated minimum daily fueling consumption, when you look at the vehicles with petrol engines, the quantity required is about 11,895. The fuel quantity is 30 liters. Unit price 145. Number of days 360. It will cost about 18.8 billion. And if you take the motorcycle, it will cost about 751 million. If you take the vehicles that use diesel, it will cost about 1.6 billion, totally about 21.2 billion. That's just an example. The minimum monthly maintenance cost, if you take the vehicles, those that use petrol, it will cost us about 6.4 billion to maintain. If you look at motorcycles, it will take about 255 million. If you look at vehicles using diesel, it will cost about 883 billion. So the total maintenance and fueling costs would have cost 28.8 billion. So going by the above example, it implies that the entire sum of 9.2 billion projected for all subheads in the overhead cost for police formation and commands in 2020 budget is not even enough to provide minimal fueling and maintenance costs for police operational vehicles for 4 months. This is not to mention other critical subheads such as local travels and transport allowances, local and international training costs, maintenance of buildings, aircrafts, marine boats, feedings of detainees nationwide, provision of uniforms and accoutrement. As at date, there are 7,413 police formation and units across the Federation. There is constant movement of personnel of the force to either quell civil disturbance, contain violent crimes, investigation activities, and even routine movement of personnel on transfers and posting within and outside these locations. These movements entail the payment of appropriate duty to allowances, payment of allowances in lieu of hotel accommodations, and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, allocation to the force in terms of duty to allocation is grossly inadequate. In the 2020 appropriation, for instance, the provision of 612.7 billion is made for local travel and transport nationwide. This translates to an average of 82,660 naira annually to each of the 7,413 locations, or just 6,888 naira monthly per formation. The same scenario applies to critical subheads for maintenance of barracks and office accommodations. Provisions of uniforms and accoutrements, stationaries, training programs, maintenance of marine boats, aircrafts, and so on and so forth are attached as Appendix 5, which is pages 37 to 42. Minimum requirement of the force, which totals about 37.8 billion. To cater for critical subheads in the overhead costs against the envelope that we get of 9.2 billion. And when you look at capital allocation, in order to carry out this statutory responsibility, requisite operational tools and infrastructures are indispensable. Such tools include vehicles, arms and ammunition, aircraft, intelligence or surveillance equipment, bomb disposal, and a host of others, as well as infrastructural items such as offices, police stations, barracks, and so on and so forth. As against a basic requirement of 63 billion, the force is compelled to limit its expenditure to a minimum of 12.3 billion, as highlighted in the next paragraph, which is with you already. Then the overhead cost. In the case of the overhead cost estimate, the total sum of 9.2 billion given as envelope is allocated to cover expenditures in the following areas, which includes clothing and accoutrement, fuel costs for vehicles, aircraft, and marine boats, maintenance of vehicles, aircraft, office, and residential buildings, office equipment, communication equipment, provision of digital allowances, stationaries, foodstuff, including feeding of detainees in police cells and nationwide, local and foreign courses, payment of insurance premium, payment for utilities such as electricity, water rates, sewages, and so on and so forth. On personnel cost estimate, with respect to personnel cost, the sum of 381.7 billion is allocated for payment of emolument of police personnel, including newly passed out assistant superintendents of police and constables and civilian staff components in the year. The payment of salaries is made through the RPPS platform under the purview of the RPPS divisions in the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation. Mr. Chairman, in conclusion, the primacy of the Nigeria Police as a lead agency in internal security matters is being challenged by inadequate funding, and my desire is to restore the dignity and pride of place of the force within the internal security architecture of our beloved country. This desire requires the support and understanding of all stakeholders, especially the distinguished and honorable committee members of this House committee. The Nigeria Police is blessed with officers and men who are not only intellectually gifted and exceptionally dedicated, but professionally sound enough to surmount the security challenges facing the nation. Appropriate level of funding is required to provide this personnel with necessary logistics to carry out their responsibilities. Once again, I wish to express my profound appreciation to the National Assembly for the enactment of the Police Trust Fund Act. It is my belief that money to be sourced from the funds will assist the folks at bridging the funding gap and tackle some of the fundamental challenges, especially in the areas of training and retraining of personnel, infrastructural development, procurement of additional operational equipment and tools. Mr. Chairman, distinguished senators, honorable members, I wish to crave your continued support and cooperation in the task of repositioning the Nigerian Police to carry out its statutory mandate of maintaining law and order, amongst others. The nation and the citizens look forward to having a police force that will meet their desire for safety, security, and socio-economic progress. Your renewed commitment at this point in time is very vital, and I believe there will be light at the end of the tunnel. I wish to use this opportunity to thank the chairman, distinguished and honorable members of these vital committees for the cooperation and support my administration has been enjoying since the 9th Assembly came on board in June this year. It is my wish that this cooperation and support will be sustained for the growth and development of the Nigeria Police Force and overall interests of the nation. Thank you once more.
And it is very situation of the country. It requires that there is an urgent need for something very drastic, positively to be done to the sector. But because of the sensitivity of this sector, there are some silent issues that we are not supposed to discuss in this manner. And therefore, I will require us to be committed into an executive session so that we will take up these issues in that same manner. So therefore, we are moving to executive sessions. All those that are not supposed to be part of us, please, to the excuse us for a while.